Do now want to pivot to another challenge. According to real estate brokerage Redfin, the total value of U.S. homes has fallen from a record high of $47.7 trillion in June to about $45.3 trillion at the end of 2022. This was the largest June to December plummet since the mortgage crisis of 2008. And this, paired with the housing inventory problem, are we heading toward another housing crash?
To be honest, I really don't think so. Just in the past couple of months, we've started to see a little bit of a leveling out of any declines. And again, the shortage of housing is something that supports housing prices, not the other way around. Because anytime people are competing for a scarce commodity, that will keep keep the price more elevated. So while I think it's important for home price appreciation to remain in a more moderate level, so that we don't push home ownership further and further away from the capacity of the middle class, I think it's really important to do that in a very balanced way by supporting new supply, by supporting access to credit, and by making sure that the fundamentals of the market are sound. I think they are right now. Housing has suffered disproportionately to other sectors from the very swift and steep interest rate rises, the actions that the Federal Reserve took to combat inflation that really did fall heavily on the housing sector. And so I'm hopeful that as we've already started to see the rate of inflation slow, and hopefully that means that we can get back into that more balanced market going forward.
Commissioner, you came into the position on the heels of the brunt of the pandemic. But what's next? When you're looking at the next year ahead, what's on the top of your agenda?
I continue to spend a lot of time thinking about the 350,000 borrowers we have who still aren't current on their loans. The interest rate environment significantly impacted, in some cases, our ability to provide those borrowers with help in reperforming on their mortgages because of it's kind of a technical issue, the way our program works. But basically, if you come to your servicer for help, there are kind of a suite of options. Some people call it a waterfall of options that mortgage servicers can go through to help people. And one of those options is something called a loan modification. And what a loan modification does is it can adjust both the interest rate of a mortgage and the length of that mortgage term in order to give people some payment relief on their monthly mortgage payment. The rise in interest rates made it more difficult for servicers to provide that kind of relief to people because they really couldn't reduce that mortgage rate. So what FHA is doing now, and what I consider one of our biggest priorities in the near term, is trying to create some new tools that will enable us to help people in the same way, even when we're in a different interest rate environment, if that makes sense.
It does. And Commissioner Julia Gordon, thank you so much for joining me.